Hi kawan, welcome to EDCReady. I am going to do a disassembly of this knife. This is the Civivi Vision FG designed by Snecx Tan. It has a couple of interesting things about it. Number one, it has this amazing action. It has the Superlock, which is a brand new lock on my channel. It is kind of like a baby of, let's say, a Spyderco a bearing lock or ball lock, sorry, and the Demco lock, which is a cold steel special. So without further ado, let's take this apart. Now I just finished work and I came home and I just want to spend time with you guys. Do a little disassembly video. We have a T8 Torx bit here, and that should take everything apart. Okay, so before I take it apart, just a little update. The centering is pretty spot on, maybe a millimeter a certain direction. It does have a bit of blade play, but if you tighten it up, so I'm just going to tighten it up for you guys right now. Now it's fully tight. There is no blade play at all in any direction, but it still drops shut like that. Very, very nice. It does all that without any blade play. So I'm going to be Loctiting it by the end of this review, and let's see what we can do. Firstly, I'm taking out the pivot here, T8 pivot. Now there is some tension, so let's just see if we can reduce that tension a little bit. Very nice. Now, to take this apart, I'm not sure which, sorry, I have to take out this screw because that goes into this little back spacer right here. This also fits a T8. It's not turning, which means that I need to open it from the other side. Yeah, let's close this up. This is, I believe, a T6 for the clip screws here. And you know what? I'm just going to take out the clip screws entirely, just to make sure I know what I'm dealing with here. There we go. Okay. So that's all the way out. So as you can see here, see if I can show it to you here. One of the screws seems to be longer than the other. That is that length, and this is this length. So definitely one of the screws are longer than the other. The one in the back here goes into this little hole, which then goes into the back spacer. So we're just going to put this there, put this there. Now I'm going to just take out the blade, and because I know there is a spring in here, and I don't want to repeat what I did with the AD20.5, where the spring kind of like jumps out and then I can't find it anymore. I'm going to do this little thing that I learned from my friend Tariq. Just going to put this here. I put a little cloth over it as I try to disassemble everything to make sure that even if the spring falls out or jumps out, it's going to be caught by this guy. So I just remove this guy. This guy is not like pinned in or anything. Just remove it. Now slowly, I want to see if I can wiggle everything loose. Okay. There we go. So let's see if this helps. I am going to disengage or pull the lock back a little bit, and then it pops up. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see how this thing works. So what I did just now is that I just pulled back the lock bar here, and then that just released tension for this guy to come out. This guy was sitting on top of it like this, and then this guy was sitting on top of that like so. So now, with everything gone, I just want to pull this back a little bit, hold on to the spring, don't want it to fall out. See if we can remove that. Remove the blade right there. So we have here, we have ceramic ball bearings. Take out that, and I can feel the spring almost coming out. There we go. So the danger is that if I do not have this cloth in the way, the spring might have just flown out, never to be found again as it goes into the deep dark abyss of life. So pretty much this is how it works. I can show it to you now without the spring. Let's move the bearings out. Okay, so this is on this side. This is going to be on the Snecx side. I'm just going to put that there, and then this is the non-Snecx side. I'm just going to put that over there. So if you want to know how the lock works, it works like this. Imagine this little spring here. Spring pushes forward, it goes in here, it jams itself into this hole, and then that pushes the blade up into the stock pin right here, creating a very nice, very strong, very solid lock. In fact, this is pretty much how a Demco lock from Cold Steel works, except this is with a little spring in the back, which reminds me a lot of the ball bearing lock, or maybe even an axis lock, but let's not go there. We all know that I'm not that big of a fan of the axis lock. As for this piece here, it looks like it has a shelf in it to make sure that it doesn't free spin. There we go. There's a little shelf there, which correlates to that piece here to make sure that it doesn't free spin. I'm gonna put that over there. Now, the difference between this and the Wee knife one is that you cannot push this back where you can lift this up. However, if you go on Snecx, his own Instagram page, it tells you that you can remove this piece right here. Okay, just remove that. Now, assuming the stop pin doesn't disappear on you, now you have the ability to move this back all the way and take out this guy so that you can clean the inside of the lock face, which is what you can do for the regular guy, for the regular Wee knife version and even his custom version. But we're gonna leave that in there for a little while. I'm just gonna carry it in its stock format. Yep. So basically that's the inside of the knife. We have the blade itself. Let's see now. Do we have yeah. So there's no detent hole because the detent is done with this little corner here. That will be all the detent that you need on this back here. We can see here it has the blade steel. You see that? Nitro-V blade steel. There you go. Snecx by design. And then you have the steel, the anodized steel on the inside. No internal milling, but that's because you have milling that goes straight through the handles. So yeah, let's just start cleaning. I'm gonna get my cloth. Now I've had this guy for about a week, and just taking this guy apart, show you what's on the inside, and also clean it up a little bit. I can safely say that it's wearing in very nicely. It's already smoother than what it was when I first got it, which is amazing because it came in quite smooth already. Just cleaning up everything. Gonna try to get within this crevice here, just like that. Lean on this side, just wiping away all the residue that it may have developed or caught up over time. Now I gotta say, it has been very hard to keep this guy out of my pocket. This is just such a nice knife to use, to carry, and overall fantastic design. I actually like this design more than the more expensive Wee knife version because of a few changes to its design, mainly the pocket clip. So now let's clean the bearings. Bearings look relatively clean. Without a doubt, a little bit of gunk there because it is anodized. So this little track you see there, see that? That's from the bearings slowly wearing into the steel and slowly smoothing it out. All right, so that's cool, that's done. Let's see how we can put all this stuff together. Starting with the Civivi insignia. Keep in mind that there is a shelf to make sure it doesn't free spin, which is something I always enjoy. Get it in there, that's nice. Now, I'm gonna take some breakthrough lube, put it, just wiping that off a little bit, putting it in there. Now this is not for any rust resistance of anything. This is just so that there is a bit of like liquid tension to keep everything in, just like that. Okay, this guy goes to the back, this guy goes to the front, like so. Okay, now this guy goes in, and if you don't know, what you want to do is that you want to get the flat side to be on the blade because the blade will rotate, will like glide on this. So when I first was putting together knives, I thought the flat side was on the scale, was on the inner part of the scale, but it's the other way around. The blade wants to rotate on this guy. So adding a bit of oil here for smoothness and also for a little bit of like liquid tension to keep everything in place. That goes there, that goes there, a little bit on the side. Don't need too much, especially for a knife design like this. That guy goes there. Nice. We Want to add a little bit of lube here. Okay. And to be honest, with this knife, you don't really need to do that much because it's quite easy to, kind of like a back lock. It's one of the advantages of this lock, because it's kind of like a back lock. You really only need to oil maybe this part here that comes into contact with the blade, comes to contact with the lock face. All right. Now let's put the lock back. That goes in there. That's pretty easy. Just slot it in there. Spring goes. How am I going to do this? Okay. Spring goes in there. Which side first? Or is one side thicker than the other? Okay, so it seems like it doesn't really matter which side goes in first. Well, let's make this a little easier on ourselves. I'm going to pull this guy out. Put this guy out. Put the spring in. Nah, let's just make it safer for us. And then just like try to push this guy back in. Let's use this. Come on. There we go. So the spring's in. We are now under spring tension, which always makes me nervous because I don't want it to just shoot out. Okay, so that's in. Spring is in there. Let's just check. Oh. Yeah, you need the skill on the other side to keep it from popping out. Let's try it again. Let's see if it actually fits better in the other direction. I just want to know if it's the same in both directions. And yeah, it's the same in both directions. So it doesn't really matter. Okay. So let's take out the spring first. Don't want to break anything or lose any springs. I'm wondering if we can use the same springs for the Demco. Okay, it's in. It's in now. I'm gonna very quickly just lube up this area. And that's for general rust resistance. And also just to make the springs travel a little bit smoother. Okay, it's in. Alright. One of the more straightforward disassemblies I've ever done. And that's by design. Snecx is the kind of person that really appreciates the ability to maintain your own knives. And the ease of disassembly here really exemplifies that. Okay. Come on. We're not really grabbing. It's something out of alignment. Okay. Just gonna make sure that so something's not in alignment. There's a bit of tension in the system. So that's one of the problems with having springs sometimes. Because of the tension of the spring, it does require some realignment. Let's try this again. Make sure nothing flies out. Okay, that has snapped into place. There we go. I think that snapping was not done well. Okay, here we go again. There we go. It's coming in now. I think it was just like out of alignment. Now the Civivi logo is out of alignment. Okay, there we go. So I just use the screw to spin the Civivi logo around. Is everything right? Well, let's just put it together. See if there's any issues, which I hope there isn't. If not, I'm gonna have to call someone, make a few calls. Alright. Centering's a little off, probably because it's not really tight yet. Okay. Okay. Pivot's tight. Too tight. Oh, that's too tight. Interesting. How's the centering on this guy? It is... Let me see in the light. Centering is pretty spot on. A little bit of blade play. Just checking the washers if they're in properly. Looks like they are in properly. Okay. So yeah, it looks like they are in properly. I just need to tighten everything up. No blade play. No blade play. It's not really dropping as smoothly as it was earlier. Let's just check the back screws here. Loosen them up. And then see if we can get everything in alignment. Everything seems to be okay. I can't tell if anything's wrong or not. Okay. So what I did was I loosened up all the screws to kind of release some tension. And then I just tighten it back. There we go. Now it feels like how it used to feel. So sometimes with springs, you are going to get a little bit more tension in the system. So just a little too tight. It's just loosened up a smidge. That's a smidge. There we go. No blade play. A bit of tweaking that needed to be done, but it's all good now. Nice and full shuddy. No blade play. Yeah. I mean, like, if you hold it at the tip, then you like twist it enough, I do feel something, but you hold it back here, you're not gonna feel any blade play at all. Centering is pretty spot on. Yeah, right in the center. And there you go. So yeah, leave a comment down below if I took way too much time to take this guy apart. And as always, stay ready. Wait, don't stop the video. I got a tip. I just figured this out. Something was not quite right, like it didn't really seat properly. So I kind of took it apart, put it back together again. And a little tip is that when you want to screw in this bit right here and tighten it, pull back on the lock, just reduces tension so that the screw kind of goes in a little bit smoother. That way it just makes sure everything's a little bit more aligned when you put it together like that. Thanks.